Welcome back to story time. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different. This is sepia video filter, and I'm talking about us experiencing different realities. I can remember coming back home from Inner Visions where we had spent an hour doing something called rebirthing. And rebirthing really was deep breathing for an hour. And if I remember correctly, what it does is that it releases a lot of the um, toxic memories and things that happen to us that's literally locked in the cells of our body. I can remember never really wanting to breathe deeply. It always seemed like such a strain, which is incredible, right? You have to breathe to live. But it was always such a strain for me to breathe. I think that's another story. And I actually can remember going through that exercise. We were doing it with a partner and getting to a place where I literally could not breathe. And I was every breath I was taking in, it was like I wasn't getting any more air. And I began to get very scared. And I remember one of my teachers who was just walking around the room, checking on us. She saw my distress and she came right in front of me, right alongside my partner, and began to breathe with me. And as I'm looking at her, I could see the tears welling up in her eyes. Like she could feel my fear. She could feel my inability to breathe. And I can't even tell you when the shift happened because I never had asthma or anything like that, but I literally could not catch my breath. But with she and the partner standing there breathing with me, I was actually able to breathe again without even realizing when my lack of air cleared up. But I remember going home after that, and I was on the phone talking to my mom. And in my house, you walk through the front door, and separating the hallway from the dining room, we had a sliding door. And that door was like, it was like almost, it was almost all the way shut, not all the way. And that time I don't think my kids were there. I was home by myself, and I was talking to my mom, and I heard the keys at the door. Like my husband was coming through the door. And I remember telling her, Mommy, let me get off the phone because he's always saying I'm talking too long on the phone. I'll talk to you later. And I looked between I looked between the small opening in the door, and I saw him. I heard the keys first, hung up the phone, and I saw him open the door and walk through. The hallway is not that long. And then I didn't hear anything. So I'm like, okay, he's playing with me. He must be hiding. Did he step into the living room? I mean, we have glass like French doors going into the living room. And I peek around the corner and I don't see him. And I'm like, he's trying to scare me. So let me just call him on my phone. And I call him on my phone and I'm startled because I'm like, okay, I don't hear the phone ring. That's the first thing. I don't hear the phone ring. And then he answers the phone and I don't hear him. And I'm like, where are you? What are you doing? Stop playing with me. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm parking the car. I said, no, I saw you walk in the house. Where are you? What's going on? Stop playing. How come I didn't hear the phone ring? How come I'm not even hearing you talk? And he's saying, oh, I told you, I just pulled up. I'm getting ready to come in the house. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll see you in a minute or so. And I'm literally there like, this cannot be, this cannot be true. I mean, I was talking to my mom, so and it was daytime. It was like five something in the evening, summer, spring or summer. So it was light outside. I couldn't be making up anything. And he was dressed in his black jersey, long sleeve jersey, and black slacks and black shoes. Now, let me tell you, when he came through the door the second time, he was wearing his tan pants, uh, tan checkered shirt, and brown shoes. And I was like, what the heck? What the heck just happened? I remember telling my friend Kelsey at work about that experience. And he told me, he said he was studying with a Jewish rabbi. I don't know what he was studying, Israelites or Hebrew or something, but he said, before somebody enters into a place, their spirit, that's how he called it. He called it their spirit man comes first. You saw his spirit man. And I'm like, how is it? He was dressed differently. He didn't even have on the same clothes. And that was my experience. But my daughter experienced a similar thing with my son Malik. And she was coming down the stairs one day and they hear her run down the steps, and then she just came to like the screeching halt. And I'm like, what happened? And she's like, how come there are two Maliks? I'm like, what are you talking about? Because from the stairs, she could see coming down the stairs, she could see into the kitchen. When she turned onto the landing, she could see into the dining room through the kitchen doorway. And I was sitting at the dining table, and she said she saw Malik sitting across from me at the dining table, and he was just like this, but just like staring, not just staring straight ahead, not doing anything. That's who she saw first as she was coming down the stairs. No, that was what she saw second. When she was coming down the stairs, she saw Malik in the kitchen, and he was cooking something. He was actually frying eggs. And so she came to a halt. She's like, how come there's two Maliks? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, how can he be in the kitchen and sitting across from you at the same time? And I'm like, oh, hold up. I'm at the table by myself. And she's like, what happened? Malik was literally frying eggs at the stove. And so when she came down and she began to describe, she's like, but he's even wearing different clothes. Like he's wearing different clothes at the stove and sitting across from me. And I think he had a green and white striped shirt or something. And that's not what he was wearing at the stove. Him at the stove was the him that we know, but sitting across from me, he was sitting wearing the green and white striped t-shirt. So just like my husband's, like she saw him in two places and he was wearing his clothes, but they were different clothes. They weren't the same clothes. Like I saw my husband, he was wearing black when he walked in, and yet when he actually walked in, he was wearing like a tan, tan clothes, tan pants, tan checkered shirt. So these are I'm sharing experiences because I know that you're all going to be able to relate to it. I know you're not the only one having this. I also can remember my daughter, we were sitting in the living room. I think it was my daughter and my son. And all of a sudden she's like, Mommy, do we have a relative from Africa? And I said, well, why are you asking me that? I don't, not that I mean, I'm sure we do, but I wouldn't know who they are. And she said, because I just saw this man. It's like he just walked through the door straight into the fireplace. But he was carrying something on his shoulders. Like if you have something here that you're carrying, like that has like two jugs of water or something, right? And she could tell that he was African. She wasn't scared or anything. And she saw him just like she saw us. It's just that he disappeared when he got to the fireplace. And so I'll continue to share stories in the next video.